Welcome, everyone. We are here for another amazing episode today. I'm Lizzie Ens, your host, board certified functional nutrition practitioner. You may have listened to a lot of my old episodes before on the I'm Not Fine Show. This is my third episode into the new show, Lizzie Ens, the Lizzie Ens Show. Now, what I want to reiterate here is that all of the episodes on the old show are always going to be available. And there is a lot of wealth of knowledge and information there for you guys to go listen to. If you are new to my show and you haven't listened to any of the old episodes, please do so. I'm going to be referencing back on a few of those today, because today we are going to be talking about labs, lab results, unveiling some of that, understanding different types of medical tests, why it is so important to get the proper testing done, because I'm a huge believer and proponent of test, don't guess. And test, don't guess means you get to get data because your blood doesn't lie. Your blood gives you data and information on what is going on internally, and it is one of the oldest forms of testing that is around. Now, there are other types of testing that you can do, like urine and stool samples. There's something called radionics, which I'm actually a huge fan of, and work with my dear friend Melita on radionic scans. She's been doing it for over 20 years, and that combined with our lab results and lab testing that we do has made a massive impact on the results that my clients get, because we're not just guessing what is wrong or what your body is needing based off of symptoms. We are testing so that we have the proper data. And here's why this is so important, because there are so many symptoms that can overlap. There are some pretty dominant ones. You can say, okay, you are losing the outer sides of your eyebrows. You are have a hoarse throat. You have the inability to lose weight, and there are so many things going on. Okay, that's probably hypothyroidism. However, you still need to test, because you need to know where your ranges are at and what you need to do in order to help your thyroid function better. Okay, so with that being said, when we test, we get data, we get information instead of guessing, and we look at vitamin and mineral deficiencies, how well are your organs functioning, all of those things. And by the way, if you are someone that is done guessing and you're like, all right, I need to actually figure out what is truly going on and I want help with it, please book a consultation with me. I work with my clients on this. Every single person that I work with gets in-depth lab work done and some scans so we can see what is really going on. And that allows us to make the best treatment plan possible for you. Now, if you're someone that's like, I'm just looking to learn how to eat a little bit healthier and exercise, I'm probably not the right coach for you, because we go so much deeper here. Every single person that comes to me goes, I need answers. I'm done guessing and I need answers and I need help with it. And I'm not getting that help from the doctors. The type of testing that I do is very difficult to get a general doctor to run labs that are that in depth. Very difficult, but it is important. I'm telling you, it is important because you need the data. So with that being said, you can go to undiagnostics.com and you can visit my website. You can look at the different services that I offer, and you can also book a consultation directly through my website there as well. All right. Let's talk about, let's dive into today's episode on labs and the basic overview of some medical tests and things that you need to be looking at when it comes to various different things. First of all, you should be getting some routine tests done, whether it's going to your regular doctor or your OBGYN, if you have a doctor. Even if you are not working with someone and you're like, I'm done working with medical doctors, because really there are so many people that come to me that are like, I'm just done. I'm not getting anywhere. I do routine testing as well. And so if you're someone that's like, I just want labs with a treatment plan, or I just want labs done to check in to see what is going on, and then I can do the rest on my own based on recommendations, I do that too. So generally, if someone's coming in with very in-depth health issues and very specific goals, you have a lot of weight you want to lose, or you have things that are just going to take time and you don't know how to do that, I want to work with you for a period of time. But there are some people that come to me and they get lab work done with the treatment plan, and you can get that information on my website as well, because that is a great place to start as well. One more thing that I want to mention. I have parents, mothers specifically, that bring their teenage daughters to me as well, because here's what will happen. What happens is they may be having really, really heavy periods and very painful periods, and things are just not the way that they should be, that are considered normal. And what will happen is they'll take them to their OB, and all their OB wants to do is put them on birth control. That's their answer to birth control, to heavy periods and irregular periods, is birth control. And that is not the answer. Let me be clear. Birth control is not the answer. It is the Band-Aid. Okay. And so what the mothers will do is they'll bring me the daughters and say, hey, I want you to run labs on them, and we figure out what is really going on. Then we help the daughters with their nutrition, look at vitamins and minerals. What are they deficient in? Because trust me, even teenage kids are deficient in things. And we help them with that, and it makes a massive, massive difference. So I want to encourage you to really think about that too. When you're listening to this, in this entire episode, this is not just for one type of person, it's for that as well. Okay, so what test should you be getting? So when we're looking at more than just the basic things, your basic lab panels, typically when you go to a doctor, they might do a CBC, which is your immune system, your white blood cells, red blood cells, and they want to see like how well your immune system. That's pretty basic, pretty generic. CMP is your comprehensive metabolic panel. That's where they're going to check your glucose levels, your liver enzymes, your ALT, AST, alkaline phosphatase, how well your liver is doing, and a few other things as well. That's pretty basic. And then they may check your vitamin D depending on your symptoms. A lipid panel is pretty common as well, which is checking your cholesterol and seeing like where's your cholesterol levels at. I actually do have an entire cholesterol episode that I did last year. It's very powerful and very amazing information, because there's a lot of myths about cholesterol, and cholesterol medication is one of the most overproduced and oversold medications there is, when in reality is, if you have high cholesterol and it's in a place where you haven't even addressed your diet, then that's the place where you need to start. So go back and listen to that episode if you are interested in learning more about the truth about cholesterol. When it comes to the thyroid, a lot of times in just general checking thyroid, if you suspect you may have a thyroid condition, the doctor may test your TSH and your free T4 if you're lucky, but it is very rare that they will check your free T3 as well, which is your active thyroid hormone, the hormone that feeds your metabolism. And then you reverse T3 as well. So your reverse T3 is like your brake pedal that comes in when there's too much being spit out. So that's really, really important as well. And then your TPO and TGAB antibodies for checking your antibody levels for autoimmune stuff, for Hashimoto's. That's really important as well. And a lot of times this is not getting tested. Most of the time, they're only testing TSH and free T4. So, for example, if someone says, hey, I went to the doctor and I got some labs done and they checked my thyroid and everything was fine. And yet they're telling me very specific symptoms that they're coming back with. I'm going, yeah, I don't believe that they did an in-depth panel, number one. And number two, there's a difference between pathological ranges for your labs and functional ranges or optimal ranges. There is a difference. So what they typically want to see in pathological ranges aren't necessarily the ranges we want to see in the functional ranges. Okay. So that's why so many people get stuck and get frustrated, because the ranges are really not serving you. But one thing to remember, I'm going to reiterate this. When they are looking at the lab ranges in the medical field, they're typically looking to diagnose you with something. And there's a difference, and that means things that turn red on your lab panel, on the results of your labs. So there's a difference between someone reading a lab result and looking for diagnostics and going, I'm looking to see where I can diagnose you and then medicate you, and someone that's reviewing a lab result and is looking to see where are the missing pieces of the puzzle. What is it that your body is missing? What is it that you are needing and what is missing? And it's like connecting the dots. I cannot tell you how many times I'm going over lab results with my clients, and there's so many pieces of the puzzle here. So when I'm reviewing, let's just say I'm reviewing your iron panel and I'm looking at the results of your iron, and a pretty comprehensive result of your iron panel that we do: iron storage, iron saturation, your total iron binding capacity. It's very, very important to know where those levels are and connect the dots. But then what we do is we don't just look at that. We're going to go down and look at, hey, what is your MCH and MCHC doing? What's your red blood cell distribution doing? Your RDW? What is that doing? Are you dehydrated? Like, what is going on? And that is going to be found in your CMP. So it's really, really important to understand those things, and how do we connect the dots from A to Z, okay? Because it's not just in one section. The same thing is, for example, for your thyroid. When we're looking at your thyroid results, we're looking to see, okay, why is your thyroid off in the first place? What else is going on? Inflammatory markers, vitamin and mineral deficiencies? Do you have high parasites? Do you have high heavy metals? What is your stress life like? Like, it is so much more than just what is in that one little section. So typically in the medical field, they're compartmentalizing things and saying, well, they're only looking at the cholesterol, and that's why they give you the cholesterol medication. And what we do is we go, okay, but the body is a whole thing. Like, it's all connected. Kind of like your computer, right? Like, you don't say, oh, my software is going out, and only look at the software. There's other things that are connected to it. There's things that are connected to the motherboard. There's things that are connected to the hardware. and then the software, and like all these internal things. And that's what you have to think about when you are looking at labs. How do we connect the dots? And it takes an eye and a taught eye how to do that. So we got to go to our first break here, but when we come back, I want to continue to dive into this, and I'm going to talk about preparation for tests. How do you prepare? How do you ask for the right tests as well? Because that takes some educating as well. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Renegades! Are you tired of just going through the motions? Ready to break free and design the life you've always craved? Then you're in luck, because right here, right now, you're in the heart of it all. Every single week on the Lizzie Ens Show, we release a new episode where we dive deep into the hottest topics out there, from health and fitness to mindset, business, and personal growth. But here's the kicker. We're not just here to talk. We're here to make it happen. Join us weekly for discussions that are uplifting, powerful, fun, and relatable. We're all about embracing the incredible potential of our minds and bodies and learning to move with them to reclaim our vitality in every aspect of our lives. So if you're ready to join the revolution and unlock your true potential, tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Because right here, right now, you're in the perfect place to make it all happen.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You're now listening to the world-renowned and internationally recognized Amish Renegade on the Lizzie Ens Show.
All right, you guys, I want to talk a little bit about preparation for testing. Like, how do you prepare for this? And there are certain times of the month. If you are checking your hormones, there are certain times of the month that you need to be checking. So if you're getting your period regularly, pay really close attention to this. This is very, very important because you need to get your hormones tested during this specific phase. And sometimes medical doctors will tell you, well, it's not worth it to check your hormones because we don't know where your hormone levels are at because they change throughout the month. Well, you have to be smart about it, and you have to check them during your luteal phase, about 7 to 10 days before your next period is due, is when you want to be checking your hormones. If you're not getting your period and that's not like a consistent thing for you, or maybe you're postmenopausal, or maybe you have had a hysterectomy, then you obviously can't time that, and you just go at your convenience, okay? However, you need to be fasting when you are taking these tests. So you want to be fasting from dinner on the night before. Water is allowed. So you go in the morning and you want to have your labs done ideally no later than 9 a.m. And the reason for this is hormones and cortisol, because cortisol needs to be tested as well. Now, there's different ways that people do cortisol testing as well. I'm a huge fan of testing it in the morning as early as I can to see where is it at in the morning. And depending on somebody's symptoms in the evening, for example, if you are really, really tired in the morning and you just can't get your day going without some coffee, and sometimes coffee even makes it worse, there's a really high chance that your cortisol is pretty low in the morning, and it's actually supposed to be its highest in the morning. I have an entire episode on cortisol. And in the evening, it's supposed to be at its lowest so that it can turn into melatonin so you can go to sleep. But some people get their most energy in the evening, which the chances are pretty high now that you just got a spike of cortisol in the evening. And that's why you're the most productive and you can't go to sleep. So what you need to be doing is making sure that you're hydrated, and you need to be fasting, and you want to ideally do it no later than 9 a.m. Some people can push it to 10, but 9 a.m. is kind of like the cutoff, especially if we're getting your cortisol checked. Now, some things that you want to consider, you might want to take some notes here, or you hire someone like me to just do it for you. But your CBC, like I mentioned before, your basal metabolic panel, which is your CMP. This will check your kidney function, your liver function, your electrolytes. We're able to check to see kind of how your adrenals are doing in this one, because we check your electrolyte function, obviously there, and then lipid panel, and then cardiovascular health as well. You want your A1C tested as well, because you want to see, are you pre-diabetic or are you diabetic, depending on what's going on with your health. And then you want to, when we go further and we want to check your thyroid and your hormones, there's very specific things, like I mentioned earlier, that need to be checked as well. You want like that full thyroid panel, which is your TSH, free T3, T4, and those two are very, very important because they go together. Okay. Your free T4 is your inactive thyroid hormone that converts thyroid hormone into free T3, which is your active thyroid hormone. And that active thyroid hormone is what converts into your metabolism. This is what feeds your metabolism. And that conversion has to happen in up to 60% of that conversion happens in your liver. So you need a healthy liver to help you support that conversion. All ringing a bell here now? So that's why that's important. And in some cases, we check total T3 and total T4, but not everybody needs that. Some people, we do need to check that. And then obviously your antibodies. Now, when it comes to your hormones, your additional hormones, like female hormones specifically, we want to know what your testosterone is, but not just total testosterone. We need to know what is your free and bioavailable testosterone. There's a difference. So you want to make sure that you have the testosterone check that has total testosterone, but also bioavailable free testosterone. And then your estrogen, so estrogen and estradiol, two very specific ones, estrone and estradiol are the two estrogen markers. And then progesterone, you want to check your progesterone as well. If you are someone that is having infertility issues, or you're wanting to get pregnant and you want to know like where your other hormone levels are at that are very important for pregnancy, one, you do need to know where your progesterone is at, because progesterone is responsible for helping you get pregnant, but also to prevent miscarriage. So the first portion of your pregnancy, progesterone is to help keep the baby in. Okay, very, very important. Your progesterone is supposed to be high. That's why some people, if they have a high risk of miscarriages, they will give them progesterone to keep the baby in, because the body itself is not making and producing enough progesterone. And if progesterone is not high enough, the body will get rid of the baby. That's why miscarriages can happen. There's other various reasons why that can happen, but that is a big piece of it. I actually had a friend of mine who was having miscarriage after miscarriage. And I asked her, what kind of labs are they running on you? Like, what are they testing? And they were doing the basic testing of the luteinizing hormone, LH, and FSH, two very important ones. But the one thing that they were not checking was progesterone. They weren't checking it. And I was like, how is this possible? Like, progesterone is so incredibly important to keep you pregnant. And they weren't checking it. So I finally got her to convince her doctors that they need to check her progesterone levels. And they were just kind of like, well, it's not important. I'm like, no, it's important. It's very important. So they finally checked her progesterone, and lo and behold, she was way low in progesterone. There was no way her body was even capable of keeping the baby and continue growing the baby because there was not nearly enough progesterone levels in there. So early on, progesterone is very, very important. Also, progesterone is a hormone that supports the brain, and it's responsible for the size of the brain. So when kids are little and they're growing in their young years, their progesterone levels are ideally higher because it helps develop the growth of their brain. And then later on in the pregnancy, your estrogen levels in the third trimester is when your estrogen levels will rise, and that's what helps, because estrogen lives in your fat cells, and estrogen is responsible to prepare your body to give birth. So when your estrogen levels go up, your body starts to relax. You usually gain a little bit more fat in that third trimester, and literally that's just the reaction, or the process, not reaction, but the process that has to happen so that your body is prepared to then give birth. So progesterone levels will drop and estrogen levels will rise so that the body can prepare to then give birth. So with that being said, those numbers are very, very important, but sex hormone binding globulin is a very important one to check as well as DHEA, which is a steroid hormone. And it's also a backbone to a lot of the other hormones. And then pregnenolone is one that some doctors are not even familiar to check, but pregnenolone is kind of like your mother hormone. Think of like the motherboard in your computer. It's the thing that keeps things running, keeps things together. If you don't have your motherboard, you ain't got no computer. And pregnenolone is sort of like that. It like oversees so many things. Now, it's very common. Pregnenolone is one of those hormones, like ideally you see it around 150. But it is very, very common for the majority of people that I test pregnenolone on to have it at a 10 or less. Very, very common. Now, let me explain why this is. We live in a modern, fast-paced world, okay? And there are very specific things in our modern technology that can affect our pregnenolone. And that is things like cell phone radiation, Wi-Fi, things from the microwave, not sleeping in dark, cool rooms at night so that you can get good quality sleep, sleeping with your phone next to you at night without it turned on airplane mode. All of those things are things that can decrease your pregnenolone. So when I see low pregnenolone, the first thing I have people do is, okay, you can't sleep with your phone next to you on the nightstand anymore, unless there's an emergency. And if you can, turn your phone off, your Wi-Fi off on your phone. If you can turn your Wi-Fi off on your entire home, that's even better, because Wi-Fi actually is one of the strongest EMF transmitters. And then turn your phone on airplane mode. So literally, this is what I do. When I'm done at night with any access to my phone and I'm like, I'm done, I'm preparing to go to bed, my phone will go Wi-Fi off and airplane mode on, and it's across the room on the bathroom sink, not even next to me, and then I go to sleep. Unless there's obviously an emergency and something that I need to be looking out for. But in general, that thing is not next to me. You also shouldn't have your TV on in your bedroom. Absolutely not. It disturbs your sleep so much. If you're someone that's like, oh, but I can't sleep without noise, please don't use your TV as your noise for sleep. Get a sound machine. I literally sleep with my son's sound machine since he was born. And now I'm like, I can't sleep without it. So you have to adjust how you do these things. And there's other things that we can do. There's like If you suspect that if you have pregnenolone that's low and you want to mitigate some of the EMF stuff that's in your life, you can get EMF blocking stickers to put on your cell phone case. You can put an EMF blocking pad under your computer. If you have an iPad, put like EMF stickers on there. Try not to use too many Bluetooth headphones, like good old wire headphones. I know it's like that's not like up to date, but it helps because a Bluetooth can cause a lot of things with the EMFs transmitting. So we got to go to our next break here, but when we come back, we're going to continue to dive into this subject and also understanding some of the reference ranges as well. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey there, renegades! Are you tired of just going through the motions? Ready to break free and design the life you've always craved? Then you're in luck, because right here, right now, you're in the heart of it all. Every single week on the Lizzie Ens Show, we release a new episode where we dive deep into the hottest topics out there, from health and fitness to mindset, business, and personal growth. But here's the kicker. We're not just here to talk. We're here to make it happen. Join us weekly for discussions that are uplifting, powerful, fun, and relatable. We're all about embracing the incredible potential of our minds and bodies and learning to move with them to reclaim our vitality in every aspect of our lives. So if you're ready to join the revolution and unlock your true potential, tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Because right here, right now, you're in the perfect place to make it all happen.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
You're now listening to the world-renowned and internationally recognized Amish Renegade on the Lizzie Ens Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Okay, we are diving really deep into lab reviews, what to get, what to look for, and then some things that you can do as well. But with that being said, one thing that I want to reiterate here is my new website, undiagnostics.com, is up and running, and there's a lot of information on there. Okay. And some of the things that I share on there that I've been talking about today in terms of like getting labs done and then getting a treatment plan to go over that, I want you to go to the website. If this is something that you're like, okay, I really do need to get some in-depth lab work done to see like what is really going on, go to my website and go into the section where it says lab work with treatment plan, read up on that, and see if that's something that you want to move forward with. If you're like, no, I just want a consultation to start out with because I might need more than that, then that's fine too. But there's options there. Go scope it out and see what is the best fit for you. But let's get you feeling better and let's get you some real answers. Okay. One of the things that I want to talk about here today is how do you discuss your results with your healthcare provider? So sometimes it's kind of like talking to a wall because, we would like to think that we can just trust what they're going to say and follow with a blind eye, but you can't do that. You cannot just follow with a blind eye because remember what I said earlier, that they're typically looking to diagnose you, not to see what the missing piece is and really decipher and look through things and see what your body's really needing. They're not taught how to help you with nutrition, how to help you with supplementation. They're not taught that. Always remember that. And it can be very, very frustrating because we would like to think that they would be able to help us with that, but they're not. They're taught with an eye to diagnose you and then give you medication. That's what they're taught to do unless they've done additional things to educate themselves on a diet or how to help you through nutrition and supplementation. But just know that, which is one of the big, big reasons why I do what I do, because that is the missing gap. That is a gap in the place that so many people get frustrated with, because they're like, okay, I went to the doctor, I tried to get answers, but they told me to go on a 1,200 calorie diet, or they tried to give me medication. And people are freaking frustrated, so frustrated. And I get it. And so if you want to discuss your results with your healthcare provider, go in with the understanding that they're not there to help you with your diet, your nutrition, and your supplementation in general. They're primarily there to look at what can they diagnose you with. Know that, understand that, and then you may go, okay, well, it's time for me to go somewhere else and look for someone that can help me with that. That's where you will take your health and your life back into your own hands versus only relying on someone else to tell you what to do. Okay? You got to be in control. You got to be like, I'm advocating for myself, but I'm advocating for myself by deciding what is right for me. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of follow-up with testing. So one of the things that I see all the time is people getting lab work done, going on a treatment plan and following through with that, but then not getting the follow-up testing done. So typically when, let's just say for an example, if you have a thyroid condition, if you have hypothyroidism and you get put on medication and or hormones, whatever the case may be, it's very, very important that you get monitored along the way, and you need to be retesting. And that is really, really important. If you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic or you're on blood pressure medication or you're on heart medication or you're on cholesterol medication, you get retests done to check in. Hey, are my numbers improving? What's working and what's not working? So it's very, very important that you get follow-up tests done when you do the initial test and then you go on a treatment plan. It's very important that you get follow-up tests done on the specific things that were off, which is why when I do my lab work with treatment plan, you get the initial labs done. And I give you, show you where things are at, and we get you on a treatment plan. And 8 weeks later, you're going to do a follow-up call with me, and we're going to look at what do we need to get rerun, what things have improved, and what do we need to rerun in order to check in to see what is working, what needs some additional help, because that's what wellness is. You don't always have the answers straight out of the gate. It's about adjusting. It's about navigating. It's about swinging with the pendulum. Like, what is it that your body needs? Because genetically, we are all a little bit different. What works for me may not work for you. But it's very important to tune in with that. Also, remember, your lifestyle is different than mine. You may have more kids than I do. You may work a different job, probably work a different job than I do. You may have different stress than I do. So it's very important to understand that there is no one size fits all, but everybody needs something, right? So a lot of people in general, right out of the gate, are the first thing you need to do is look at your diet and your nutrition. And here's the thing: if you are not focusing on eating well and fueling and nourishing your body in a way that feels good and that's healthy, with healthy whole foods, good proteins and stuff like that, you don't really have any business just running for that next advanced thing. You need to get the foundation down. Like I always say, your foundation is your diet and your sleep and your exercise and your water. That is your foundation. Don't get fancy with a lot of supplements. Don't get fancy with a lot of detoxes and cleanses until you have that part down. I literally have a gal right now that I'm working with, and she hasn't even gotten on any kind of supplements yet. And she's been detoxing literally just by changing what she's eating. And here's what I told her. I said, listen, you're going to continue to see there's a lot going on with you because we did very in-depth lab testing, and you're going to see a lot of things change within your body. And you're detoxing right now. And the reason that you're detoxing is because you're massively changing how you've been eating. And when we start giving our body good food and good nutrition and the things that it needs, it will actually start detoxing on its own. 100%. So just by changing what she's been eating, she's giving her body what it needs to excrete and get things out of her body that need to come out. And the majority of people, good percentage of people are constipated and they don't know that they're constipated. And a good portion of people are dehydrated and they don't know that they are dehydrated. If you have headaches, recurring headaches, and if you have migraines and you're constipated and bloated all the time, the chances are very, very high that you are dehydrated. So the first step is hydration. You gotta get that water in. I'm gonna tell you something else real quick here. So I recently had a conversation with someone and we were talking about colonics, and and she informed me that so colonics is something that you can go and they basically like wash out your colon. And it's actually really, really amazing, because the reason that this is so amazing is because there's a lot of health issues that can happen due to us not getting rid of fecal matter that we need to get rid of, which is pooping. We need to poop things out. And with a poor American diet and overuse of fast foods and processed foods and sugars and all of that, a lot of that stuff gets backed up. And when I was talking with this gal about it, she said that your intestines are as long as you are tall. Okay. And now listen to this. For every foot of intestines that you have, any up to 5 to 10 pounds of extra fecal matter can be in each foot of your intestinal lining. So you do the math. If you are 5 feet tall, that means you have 5 feet of intestinal lining, intestines. And if there's, let's just say, low case scenario, you have 5 pounds of extra fecal matter in every foot. And that's 25 extra pounds of fecal matter. So what happens is it gets coated up against the intestinal walls. Okay, so you could literally be pooping every single day, but you're still not cleaning everything out. So your intestinal walls get coated, and they have a lining of fecal matter, that just like old fecal matter that's up against your intestinal wall. And this is where I've talked about this before, but this is where diseases can happen. This is where colon cancer can start. This is where autoimmune things can start. This is where parasites can hang out. This is where bloating, indigestion, constipation, even diarrhea, IBS, PCOS, all of those things like gut issues, they can stem from these things. Because what can happen is if you have old fecal matter that is up against the walls, eventually that has to go somewhere. And what happens is it starts seeping through the intestinal lining. When it starts seeping through the intestinal lining, now it can go out into your bloodstream. And so what happens is when it goes out into your bloodstream, this is where anxiety, depression, brain fog, and those things can start stemming from as well, because you have these things, these toxins that are being seeped out in to your body. And this is where a lot of health issues can come from. So it's very, very important that your colon is nice and clean. But in the standard American diet, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen because it's too much highly processed foods, too much sugar, not enough protein, not enough fiber, and not enough water. All right. So we got to go to our next, very last break here. But when we come back, I'm going to share some additional things on where you can start. I already gave you an overview of testing and stuff like that, where you can start, but I'm going to give you some additional steps as well. So don't go anywhere, you guys. I'm Lizzie Ens, your host on the Lizzie Ens Show. I'll be right back.
Hey there, renegades! Are you tired of just going through the motions? Ready to break free and design the life you've always craved? Then you're in luck, because right here, right now, you're in the heart of it all. Every single week on the Lizzie Ens Show, we release a new episode where we dive deep into the hottest topics out there, from health and fitness to mindset, business, and personal growth. But here's the kicker. We're not just here to talk. We're here to make it happen. Join us weekly for discussions that are uplifting, powerful, fun, and relatable. We're all about embracing the incredible potential of our minds and bodies and learning to move with them to reclaim our vitality in every aspect of our lives. So if you're ready to join the revolution and unlock your true potential, tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Because right here, right now, you're in the perfect place to make it all happen. You're now listening to the world-renowned and internationally recognized Amish Renegade on the Lizzie Ens Show.
All right, you guys, we only have a few minutes left here. One of the things that I want to touch on really quick here is there are some pretty popular home test kits out there. And one of the things that scares me about those, one, is when you're performing a home test kit, there's very specific steps that have to be taken with that. And then number two is, and that can be dangerous. And so sometimes there's things that can happen in that whole process, especially when it comes to blood. Now, if there's stool test, obviously that's something like if you're doing like a GI map or something like that, a stool test has to be performed at home. That's a little bit different. But when it comes, there's a test called Everlywell test. And that one's a pretty common one that people use for some basic thyroid panels and stuff. But the tricky thing about that is you have to be able to know how to interpret it properly. So interpreting it properly is very, very important. And it's best to have a healthcare professional that understands what to look at to be able to read those. But just getting, like I mentioned before, like just getting your thyroid panel done, like just on Everlywell, like you can get an entire thyroid panel. But just getting the thyroid panel done is not enough because there could be other things going on internally that are connected to that, like your iron levels and your vitamin D levels, other hormone levels, and your lipid panel, like your cholesterol and your immune system and stuff like that. And so that's why I'm personally like not a huge fan of those tests, because I just feel like there's not enough data to know and understand what else may be going on. Real quick, before I give you the final steps of this, next week's show, I'm going to have my dear friend Mia Sadia on the show, and she's going to be talking about her health and journey with birth control and what it was like to be on birth control, and then a whole journey of getting off birth control, things that it can trigger. I'm really, really excited to dive into that one next week because I think it's so, so important. I briefly mentioned birth control earlier, and it's very important to know and understand the ins and outs of that so that you know the best decisions that you need to make for your health. Because if you're looking to get off of birth control, that's something that has to be done in a very strategic way, because depending on how you get off birth control, you can trigger other things, especially if you had been on birth control for a very long time. So keep that in mind. So where do you start now? Where the best place to start is to work with someone that understands how to submit the correct lab orders, get the correct orders done. It's very, very easy in terms of working with someone like me, and there are other practitioners. If they're a better fit, you can work with them too. That's fine. But I highly, highly suggest that you work with a professional that is able to submit those orders. And then when everything comes back, they sit down with you, and it's a very thorough process on going over everything together. And if they're not doing that, then you probably need to look for someone that will actually do that with you. So this is what I always tell my clients is it's my job to teach you and educate you on why we're doing what we're doing. And that also means you understanding your lab work so that you know why we're doing what we're doing and why it is important. And that is what's going to get you to the longevity of where you want to be, how you want to feel, how you want to live your life, and the steps that you need to take in order to get there, but also heal your body in the process. So always understand that. But I'm going to take it back to what I said earlier in terms of what you need to be doing. If you're someone that hasn't been focusing on your diet, your exercise, your water, and your sleep and your stress management, then you need to start there. I do have something also that's called the Foundations of Health, and I literally teach you all of those things in there, and you can find that on my website as well. And that's a really, really good place to start if you are a beginner and you don't know what it even means. What does it even mean to make sure that you're getting enough protein? What does it even mean to eat a healthy, balanced meal? If you have never done that or worked with anybody to do that, and you just have dieting mindset of like, hey, let me just grab onto the next quick fix diet, you want to throw that away and you want to say, okay, I'm not going to do dieting anymore. I'm going to learn how to fuel and nourish my body in a way that makes me feel good, but also is sustainable and will last for a very long time because it's information that you can take with you for the rest of your life. It's very important. So it's called the Foundations of Health, and that's also on my website. You can go grab it there, take a look at it, and you get a workout program with that one as well. Start there. I'm telling you, the clients that I work with, when I'm working with them, we don't wait to start until we see their lab results. We start right away on all of these things: nutrition, exercise, sleep, water, daily habits. We start there before we even have reviewed their lab work. And they start feeling better just by making those shifts without looking at the labs and without even knowing everything that's going on internal. And that's where your foundation is. Because if you haven't done that, or if you're not doing that, then you need to start there. And that's where it all starts, because that's where longevity is. That's where sustainability is. That's where you're going to learn what actually makes your body feel good. And it could be different, a little bit different for you, but the foundation should always be those four things. Again, nutrition, your diet, your exercise, your water, and your sleep. And then the fifth one that I will always add in there is, how are you managing your stress? You have to learn how. Nobody's going to be stress-free. If you have a stress-free life, you're dead. But you do have to learn how to manage your stress really well so that it benefits you. Okay, so go to undietyou.com, check out all those resources. Next week, I'll be back to interview my guest, Mia. We're going to be talking about birth control. And again, my email is lizzie@undietyou.com. You can email me, ask me questions if you need anything, and also you can book a consultation with me. I'll see you guys next week.
This show is made possible with your support. Tune in to the Lizzie Ens Show every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time, and around the world at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. And don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends.